Hey Moonies, Sailor Uchimakun here. I just wanted to finally get to episode 2, I guess you can call this episode 2 of this. It's been a while because the 90s anime of Sailor Moon, especially in the beginning, is extremely hard to get through. Um, and I've been really lazy with updating my live blogging Facebook page of it. So I know each episode has 6 episodes on it, I believe. Um, yeah, each episode has 8 episodes on it, so I can use that as a basis consensus. And I have an episode guide, and obviously I remember what happened, so I can basically talk about what happened. So same thing as last time. Um, you're gonna get to see this beautiful picture. This is season 1, part 1, disc 2. You get to see Sailor Mercury because obviously she has been introduced. Um, as of the last episode of season 1, part 1, disc 1. So this one starts with episode 9. Um, episode 9 is Usagi's disaster. Beware of the clock of confusion. So basically, this episode is just a full-on episode of Usagi and Ami together, and their friendship is honestly so pure in this episode. Um, they're basically trying to help each other. Um, you know, Ami wants to help Usagi be a better student, and Usagi just wants to be Ami's friend because that's what Usagi's greatest strength is she's an amazing friend. Um, so basically, the plot consensus for this episode is Usagi gets bewitched by a clock that her oh so loving mother bought for her. Her mom's words, not mine. And basically, this clock, which is Jedi's idea, it makes everyone in a rush to do everything, including Usagi, and it's so out of character for her. Um, and basically, it is it's also the debut of Mercury's trademark visor computer, which is a big um part of Mercury's character is her visor and her computer because she is the strategist. I remember thinking as a child that, damn, she gets bubbles like the other girls have, like beams of light and fire and electricity, and Usagi is can heal people, and she gets bubbles that creates like a fog. So, but as an adult, I realized that, okay, she's not meant to be an attacker. She's meant to be a defense strategist. But yeah, basically, if Mamoru hadn't shown up, well, excuse me, I'm not supposed to know he's Mamoru yet, but Tuxedo Mask basically saves them because they both get bewitched by the clock. They get stuck in it, and yeah, overall, not a bad episode. I can tolerate it. Episode 10, The Cursed Bus, Enter Mars, the Guardian of Fire. This episode marks the debut of my least favorite of the Inner Senshi in the 90s anime. Um, and the third, technically fourth, Senshi Sailor Mars. Although, in this episode, she starts off halfway decent, her bullying tendencies don't start until she awakens as Sailor Mars. So before you all come raving at me, hating me, I don't hate Ray. I hate Ray in the 90s incarnation because for whatever reason, they decided that her 90s incarnation needed to be a complete and total bitch. Um, that is not Ray. 90s Ray straight out bullies Usagi for no good reason 90% of the time. She's mean, she's a jealous little bitch. If the attention isn't on her, She gets mad. I will bring this up when we get into later episodes when Makoto gets introduced. And she's just awful. And like I've literally got into a fight with somebody one time that says, well, Crystal Ray is mean to Usagi too. Yes, she's strict with her. There's a difference. Crystal Ray is a mature, beautiful shrine priestess that is strict with Usagi because she knows Usagi has to face the reality of what's going on and needs to grow up and mature, and it works. But she doesn't go slapping her, she doesn't belittle her, she doesn't use Usagi for her own personal gain, and this will go on because now that Ray's here, I've got a whole mile long list. But anyways, so she has a pretty decent debut episode. She aids with the defeating of the Yoma and showing she's one of the two Senshi that has powers in civilian form. The other one you will not see for a very, very long time. The problem begins when she tells Usagi her love for Tuxedo Mask may be one-sided. Like, bitch, you were just goo-goo-eyed for him too. Sit your jealous ass the fuck down. So I don't want to hear it. And that's another problem I have. Ray is supposed to be very anti-men. Because in the manga, the reason why she's living with her grandfather, in the anime, it's never explained why she's with her grandfather. You just assume that her mom and dad are dead. In the manga, it's explained she's with her grandfather because her dad is busy traveling the world and never had time for her or whatever. And she's very anti-men because of that. There is one side story where she has a love interest, and it's cringe as fuck, and I hate it. But literally, it seems like she's more paired off with Sailor Venus than anything. So, yeah. Episode 11, Usagi versus Ray, Nightmare in Dreamland. For one, let me just get this off. This episode's fucking disturbing as fuck. I don't know why they went about it this way. Like, the Yoma herself is disturbing, and even the Deke dub could not hide it. Like, this fucking thing, like, tucks its head in and does the exorcist twirl and... Like, you ban an episode that you could have easily cut out when Umino flips up Haruda's skirt. You ban an episode when Shingo kicks Luna that you could have cut out that one bit. You ban an episode that we haven't gotten to for seemingly no good reason. You ban an episode where Usagi goes to a nightclub, but you don't ban that disturbing shit? Secondly, Ray's bitchy attitude towards Usagi is off the wall. Like, when her premonition powers give off that the princess of the dream park isn't who she appears, she could have been, hey, my powers are giving me bad vibes, please trust me. Instead, she's, hey, I sense bad things, you lack what it takes. The deeper I get into this series, the more I dislike this incarnation of Ray because it's not her. And it's not just like, don't come at me and be like, oh, you only hate it because you watched the Deke dub where they really made her a bitch for no reason. I'm watching this in the sub and I'm seeing these problems. Like, it's horrible. Just, I don't really have much more to say about it. There's a few interactions with Usagi and Mamoru here, like them on the train. I blame these two idiots, by the way, for all the tropes I like in fanfiction and in general. So yeah, there wasn't much more. Episode 12. I want a boyfriend. The luxury cruise ship is a trap. Okay, so this episode. For one, I just want to go on point. This is the best disguise Jedi ever fucking had. Because he actually makes his hair black. He actually looks like Seishiro from X-1999, Tokyo Babylon. If you want to come right down to the nitty gritty, and that's fucking disturbing. But the bullying by Ray in this episode is so fucking out of control. Like, it took me 2 sittings to finish it, actually. I relate a lot to Usagi, and to see her treated this way, it scars me so deep. But like when Usagi's trying to win tickets to go onto the cruise, she bumps into Ray, and Ray's telling her like not to waste her time or whatever. And then she basically cheats using her psychic powers of premonition. And then basically right in front of Usagi invites Ami instead because she knew Usagi wants to go. So she's basically holding this under this poor girl's nose, and it drove me nuts. Like even as a kid I'm like, why are you being this mean? Like what did she do to warrant this behavior? Usagi's been nothing but kind and courteous to you. Like in the manga, Ray's grateful for Usagi's presence because she was the outcast. She was alone because, hey, she has psychic powers. She spends all her time talking to Phobos and Deimos because she has no one else to talk to. So she was grateful for this strange, bubbly girl to accept her. But yeah, this was basically when Queen Beryl had a favorite Yoma too for whatever reason, and apparently, even though this Yoma came to Jedi and offered her services, Beryl blames Jedi for it. This is Jedi's second to last episode, just so you know, because episode 13 is the girls unite the end of Jedi. This marks the end of Jedi, which begins a trope. If a villain learns the girls' secret identities, they usually reform or go bye-bye. In Jedi's case, it's the latter. I really hate, by the way, how the 90s anime did Jedi. Like Rey, who he actually was paired with in Crystal and what Naoko originally planned, he's actually very likable in the manga. He's more calm and serene. He's the yin to Rey's yang, or is it Rey's the yin to his yang? Whatever, however that goes. Um, he's very likable. He's not a flat out asshole that makes me want to strangle him. Um, so basically, the episode summarizes he challenges the three of them to a duel because Queen Beryl's getting desperate. And they all end up going, and he uses planes, and like they get together because girl power. And he's just very sexist, and like this episode is a good thing for empowerment of women, showing how they don't need a man to save them. Because that's what he says, like, what, do you need a man to save you? And that's actually kind of freaking ironic. Because, Tuxedo Mask shows up and all that good stuff. But it's kind of ironic. Because, yeah, he does pull them out of some tight jams. But in the manga and Crystal, which I'll bring that up, Mamoru actually gets very frustrated because he can't really do anything to help Usagi. He knows he's not on her power level. Usagi is literally a goddess, and he's like, what am I? So we'll get to that when we get to Crystal. So episode 14 is new enemy appears, Nephrite's evil crest. Nephrite was always my favorite of the four generals, and he has a strong debut here. Unlike Jedi, who use many disguises to interact with humans, Nephrite uses one. Masato Sanjin, or Maxfield Stanton if you're watching the Deke dub. He's a wealthy businessman and socialite. In this case, he's posing as a tennis coach because, Naru's friend, childhood friend, is into tennis. And just like Jedi, Nephrite gathers energy. After him, this role changes for whatever reason or another. Um, It's not a bad episode. I mean, I don't cringe as much. What I think is funny is Rei and Luna are so freaking awful to Usagi in this episode. I am beyond ecstatic that Usagi and Mamoru roast the Yoma together. And then like they show up just in time to see Usagi finishing off seemingly by herself. So they don't even know Tuxedo Mask was there. And like just yes, power couple. But this, like I said, this has taken me so long to get through because, for one, the beginning of the '90s anime is really slow, especially when you've got the same characters for so long. It gets better once they start introducing the other Senshi, but like I went through 7 episodes of just Usagi, bumbling around, and like not seeing her really grow that much. Then Ami comes in. She's alone with Ami for 2 whole episodes. Then Rei comes in, and now we're stuck with Rei for like at least another, just Usagi, Ami, and Rei for at least another like 10, 16 episodes together. Because I can't remember the exact episode number Makoto comes in. Rei came in at episode 8. Um. Makoto came in episode 25. So yeah, a good, like, long ways away. So that's ridiculous. That's another problem I have with the 90s anime. In Crystal, as you see, you'll see Usagi in episode 1, Ami in episode 2, Rei in episode 3, Makoto in episode 5. And then I believe Minako comes in like episode 6 or 7. So it's all bang, 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 bang. You get them in there and we get to the point. There's so much freaking filler in this. It's ridiculous. So episode 15 is Usagi's Panic, Rei's first date. I fucking hate this episode. This is another reason why I kept putting it off, because I hate this fucking episode. Rei and Mamoru start dating. There's Nefrit's next target is the caretaker of the park. Which reminds me of the whole Dragons of Earth thing. I need to stop making X 1999 references. But this is when Usagi finally learns Mamoru's name, when we do too, and that he's a university student, which is annoying. He's supposed to be a high school student. And to her aggravation and jealousy, Rei's dating him, which is stupid. And Rei, the only funny part about this whole freaking episode is at the end when Rei suggests that there's a similarity between Mamoru and Tuxedo Mask, which, yes, she's fucking right. Episode 16, A Girl's Dream, Usagi becomes a bride. So basically, Usagi's home ec teacher is getting married. That's Nefrit's target is her home ec teacher. And there's gonna be a wedding dress sewing contest. Usagi's obsessed with it, and so is Rei. And this is where Rei just basically invites herself into Usagi's home because, like, hey, your mom's around, alive, and is a homemaker. She can make the dress. So she just, like, blows her way in, and Usagi looks so fucking uncomfortable. And, like, a lot of people say there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes here, like, whenever Usagi, says something, whenever Usagi's mom brings out the cookie sheet and slaps her across it, like, oh, that's funny slapstick humor in Japan. Like, no, that's fucking child abuse. Like, get that fucking shit out of here. I mean, I don't like Usagi's mom. I don't. At all. I don't really have much more to say about that. That was the last episode of that particular disc. As I said, there will be no hate tolerant on this. This is, take these with a grain of salt. I do love Sailor Moon. The 90s adaptation of it is not my absolute favorite. I literally got into a war with somebody on a Facebook group who has been since removed, which I think is freaking hilarious. Because there was somebody that was excited about finding the Deke dub, and they were this person was chastised in the original poster, saying, "Oh, you need to watch the Vids dub because it's not the fake." Blah 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 blah. It's like, let people freaking enjoy things. Like, I personally do not like the Viz dub. I appreciate it for not being censored. But if I want to watch it in English for background noise, I'm going to put the Deke one on because I like the voices better. And I like the music. But if 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to watch Sailor Moon at all, I'm going to watch it in Japanese. Because it's more real to me. Like, there's going to be an episode we're going to get to the next time I do this, where, like, yeah, it was heartbreaking in the original dub for me as a child, but it was even more gut-wrenching when I watched it the other night. And now that we've gotten to Nephrite, and now we're heading towards one of my favorite arcs, it's starting to pick up the pace. The pacing's getting a little bit better. That's another problem I have with it. A lot of people will bitch that Crystal moves too fast. I like that it moves fast. It gets to the point. I don't want to spend about 10,000 years on the same arc. Like, I can give you a couple of examples. Hunter x Hunter, which is written by Naoko's husband, has an arc called the Chimera Ants arc, and it fucking drags on forever. It's a good arc, but it drags on forever. I think it's over 100 chapters in the manga. I can't remember. I haven't read the manga. I need to. At least the chapters I have. I own the manga. I just haven't read it. I'm just very lazy. And it was long in the anime too when they adapted the anime. And another similar thing I can relate to is Tsubasa, Reservoir Chronicles, the Acid Tokyo arc. It goes on forever. It's a good arc. It's an amazing arc, but boy does it freaking drag on. Like, just like, get me the hell out of here. Like, in another thing, going back to Tsubasa again, the beginning chapters when it's getting set up, it's like, oh god, this is boring. Like, I don't care. Get to the point. And I even go into video games. I feel like that sometimes. Like, whenever, like, there's a meme that goes around. Like, do you ever get the urge to replay your favorite video game? And then you remember that one part. I can think of it for a few games. Like, if I'm playing Luigi's Mansion on GameCube, I think of Boolossus because I hate that boss. But Kingdom Hearts 2 comes to mind, and it's not because of what you may think it is. Yeah, I hate the light cycle. I hate the dragon thing. I hate anything where I'm on a rideable thing and I don't have access to my cure magic or my items because I am a very reckless fighter. But the prologue comes to mind because it drags on forever. And that's what Sailor Moon is doing in the 90s. Like, look, I literally told you it takes 25 episodes to get to 4 Sailor Senshi. And I'm going to scroll ahead and see. It takes 33 to get to all 5. So that is just ridiculous. Well, until next time, hope you enjoyed. Bye.